عشي بلادي عاش اتحاد إماراتنا عشت لشعب دينه الإسلام هديه القرآن حصنتك بسم الله يا وطن بلادي 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 حماك الإله شرور السماء أقسمنا أن نبني نعمل نخلص مهما عشنا نخلص دام الأمان عاش العلم يا إماراتنا رمز العروبة كلنا نفديك بالدماء نرويك نفديك بالأرواح يا وطن.
Ultra beats on the track.
أعزائي المشاهدين، أهلا وسهلا بكم من جديد مع برنامجكم الأسبوعي برنامج إماراتي. كما عودناكم في كل أسبوع نستضيف لكم خيرة من دولة الإمارات قصة نجاح أتى من أستراليا إلى الإمارات منذ 6 سنوات. Mr. Rick, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. We are so lucky to be here with you and your company. Our team said to you, welcome in our program.
Thank you very much, it's a pleasure.
And we would like to know about yourself. Who's Mr. Rick when he comes to this country at the first time and what he's doing at this moment?
Yes, well, we're an Australian company and we've been coming through the Emirates for years and years. And then about 6 years ago, we decided to sell our company in Australia, which was sold out to a FTSE 100 company in the UK. And we decided to relocate to Abu Dhabi and come and live in the UAE and re-establish an investment company here, AQUARIUS Global. And we've done that quite successfully and established several other companies under AQUARIUS as well. So we live in Abu Dhabi, this is our home and this is our base for all of our businesses.
Let's talk about Mr. Rick, the soldier. Let's talk about Mr. Rick, the brain. Let's talk about the businessman. From where we want to start?
How long have we got? Yeah, I guess my background is I was a former member of the Australian Special Air Service, the SAS regiment. In there for 7 years, specialising in counter-terrorism. Left there to pursue a career in search and rescue, in para-rescue. So provided, I was a para-rescue commander and training specialist, both in Australia, Canada and the US, and hundreds of search and rescue operations over the years, and then decided after all of that to create my own business. And in fact, the reason that I did that was that the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, in Brussels, I think, brought out a new global regulation that made safety and emergency training in the oil and gas industry, and by default in the maritime industry, it made training mandatory. If you think about that, that's hundreds of thousands, millions of people around the world that were made to undergo training. And so I thought, here's a good opportunity, I'll start a training company. So I literally left the company I was working with, the organisation I was with, and started my first training business, predominantly focused on the oil and gas industry and the shipping industry.
6 years back, you take your decision to be in UAE. Why you choose UAE?
Well, I'm not particularly smart, but I figured out that after operating my company for 10 years and spent from Perth in Western Australia and flying all over the world, mainly to our core market of Africa and the Middle East, and to a certain degree to the Caspian region and some of the European regions, that actually it's probably not a bad idea to live a bit closer, because you can imagine to go from Perth in Western Australia to, say, Nigeria or West Africa pretty much takes 2 days to get there of travel. Whereas now, being based here in Abu Dhabi global market, living in Saadiyat Island and being based in Abu Dhabi, I do day trips to Saudi and other places that other countries where we do business. And so from that perspective, more time with the family. I have 3 sons living here now with us, so more time with the kids and being able to do short trips for business. So for us strategically, Abu Dhabi was the choice. We have a company in Dubai as well, in Dubai South. And of course, it's a fantastic place to live. It's a fantastic place to work. There are all sorts of government incentives for business here, both here and in Dubai, or UAE generally. And there's also tax advantages and everything else. So, yeah, I think for us, Abu Dhabi was the natural choice 6 years ago, and it's proven to be a fantastic decision.
Let's talk about the business in Australia and Abu Dhabi. What's the difference? You find different or same?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Actually, I've never really thought about that, but yeah, I think it is a little different. I mean, regulations in both places are quite high. I mean, the fundamental difference affecting a company is that company tax here at the moment doesn't exist. I mean, it is going to be introduced, so we know that there'll be tax on companies. The VAT is quite low at 5%, where in Australia it's and other countries it's ranges from 10 up to 25% VAT. I think Italy is 22%. Lifestyle, similar. We come from a hot climate, so living here, I must say summer is quite a challenge sometimes, but generally living here is very similar to living in Western Australia. I love living in a country, as we were saying earlier, I love living in a country where I don't speak the language, I know little about the culture, but there's lots of incentives for business, so I really enjoy that. I mean, I'm learning Arabic. My kids speak Arabic. They study Arabic at school, and just living amongst the expat community that we do here every day of the week. You go down to the beach club or somewhere, and there's probably 20 or 30 different nationalities, and I find that really exciting and quite rewarding. And we've got lots of friends from all over the world, so it's a fantastic place to live and work.
Aquarius. The name that we chose it to start our life in UAE.
Yes.
Why we choose Aquarius?
Well, originally I tried for several different names for the company, for the investment company, and the first one was Aquarius Capital. But in the UAE, like even in Australia, if you want to have an investment company generally or a capital management company, you need a certain financial services license. So I couldn't call it Aquarius Capital, so I called it Aquarius Global, which is our investment company, our holding company. And the idea being that when we were looking at what we were doing with not only our own money, because we couldn't use other people's money, it was all about delivering liquidity in business terms. So you've got Aquarius, which is the water carrier, pouring water. And I thought, well, delivering liquidity, it's a great slogan and a good name. So, I mean, it's very basic, but that was the idea, and it's basically gone from there. So now Aquarius sits above all of the other companies that we have. We're in the process of trying to acquire a company with an FRSA license, a funds management license, to bring into our group. From a very small startup, 5 years ago, we've become very, very successful in a very short space of time. So, I love the name. Everyone likes it. So it was based on that whole, delivering liquidity idea.
Finding solution for the problem, it's so hard. You say to me before the interview that's impossible. They're not in your history or dictionary at all. Same what His Highness mentioned, Sheikh Mohammed, the leader of Dubai. So, how you find solution for everything?
Yeah, I think that's been the key to my success, or the success of our businesses, is that, and I mentioned to you earlier that people always say to me, whatever you say you're going to do, you deliver. And I think in business, that's a core, value, I think, in terms of how people perceive you. One of my favourite sayings in business is that, perception is reality. If you don't deliver, if you don't do a good job, then people will look at you and go, well, we're not going to get this guy back. We're not going to use his services again. And I think I've lost count of the amount of times over the last sort of 15 years, 16 years, that our clients have said to me, man, you always come through, you always deliver for us, and that's a key thing for me. It means that, you're focused on the client, you're focused on their outcome. It's like that old saying about, under-promising and over-delivering, and I think we're kind of the masters of that in terms of what we do across all the sectors of our business. And I think it's important. I think it's where I come from, being in the Special Forces. It was all about getting the job done, no matter how difficult, no matter where you are. And I apply the same principles that I learnt in the SAS and in search and rescue. I apply all of those principles to business. And we've been very successful.
Aquarius is the new age coming. And talking about Aquarius company, the new technology coming. That you hide it or you have it, and after years, everybody will talk about it. What the technology you talk about?
Yeah, well, it's a very good question. I love the way you put that. So I think it's on the board behind me, but we have a subsidiary company called Voltage Enterprises. So Voltage, and the reason it's called Voltage is that we look at what can be done with alternate forms of energy, and the way that we can. I love finding disruptive technologies, things that maybe some wacky guy somewhere has invented, and we can invest in it and see what we can do with it. And we found an existing product, in fact it exists in nature. It's a gas. We've taken a gas and we restructure it in our own machine. And what we've discovered is that not only can we create a pH 9.5, pH 10, 10.5 water that hydrates the human body faster than anything else, but we can also ignite the gas. Now, if you think about that for a minute, so we take water, and it doesn't have to be water out of a bottle. It can be grey water. It can be water from a pond or a puddle. Anything, H2O, okay? Because the tank in the machine has filters and things, so no problem. So we put 500 mils of water into our machine. It's a DC battery, so it's got a dry cell battery that's powered by the sun, so it recharges via a modular panel and a solar panel, and we can actually ignite the gas. It's inert, so it won't go bang, you can't blow up the house with it. But the interesting thing, and the thing that I am most excited about, when you think about that, we've put this machine into a portable stove with 2 burners and a portable heater. So a 2-burner stove powered by water, recharged by the sun, that's CO2 free. So there are 0 emissions coming from that gas. So the first unit will be ready in about 3 weeks. So we're on to our 3rd prototype now. So what that means, and if you think about the implications of this, we can take cooking, clean gas cooking, anywhere in the world at any time. So think about Africa, think about the developing world, think about every shanty town you've seen on the news, the refugee camps, all of those places, they will have the ability to cook and heat their house or their tent or their, whatever they're living in, their structure. And if you look at the statistics, which is remarkable, and I didn't know about this actually, one of the guys who's working with us, our scientist who's helping develop this, he brought it to my attention, is that over 4 million people a year, according to the United Nations statistics, die from inhaling gases and toxins from burning charcoal and wood. Well, our product will end that. It'll end it overnight, as long as we can get it out. So remember that this gas is made from water. Safe, CO2 free, 0 emission, carbon neutral, and it comes from Abu Dhabi. It's developed here,
So you find solution for the world, all the world looking for go green, something because petrol at the end it will finish. So you find solution for the world. Aquarius now talking about the new technology that you have it, but also in the market there is many challengers and the market is closed and small. If you talk about the head or the big, how you can keep always on the top between your challengers in the market?
Yeah, I love your questions. It's almost like I wrote them. It's what I love doing. I mean, it's the thing about, and I think it comes from my special forces background, is that you always have to be ahead of what, and in this instance, it would be the enemy's doing, right? You've got to be ahead of what they're doing. You've got to outthink them, outsmart them, get better technology, better training, better people all the time. And that's what we do with our business. It's exactly the same as we do with our business. We're always looking for the best people, the best ideas, the best outcomes, the best equipment, the most technologically advanced machinery and equipment to get the job done. And going back to the stove, the 2-burner stove, so in the United Nations, again, I'm going to bring that up. So they have things called Sustainability Development Goals, right? I think there are about 22 of them. I may be corrected on that. Our technology, our stove, meets 14 of them with one product. Now, I mean, for us as a company based out of the UAE, to come out with a product, to launch that product in January, February next year, and to be able to say openly and state that we're hitting 14 of the STG goals is remarkable in one product. The thing I haven't told you about, which I was reluctantly going to not mention, but I will, is that so that's the portable stove using this same, well, not this water, but any water. Imagine if you could do it for a house. We have. So we have a unit that's about the size of, 2 shoe boxes, if you will, shoe boxes, that will go onto the side of a house. You can disconnect the house from the gas, the natural gas or whatever. That box will produce our gas, which is behind me, called Kinetic 7. It'll produce our gas on site and put it into the house so you can have, and remember that we're looking at helping Europe because right now, about the energy crisis with the war in Ukraine.
Right.
So we can generate a gas at every house, do the underfloor heating, do the boiler, do the hot water, do the cooking, and an ambient heater that we're working on now, which is a portable unit that connects into the gas main that will heat the house, or heat a room, sorry. And that is already developed. We've already done it. We've tested it, it works, which means that we'd only have to change out the burners in the existing houses if it's an existing facility. But once we talk to building companies like Aldar and Emar maybe in Dubai and others, and particularly looking towards the market in Europe, we'll develop our own systems. So our own cooktops, our own cookware, because there is cookware that uses less energy based on our technology. So you won't need to use normal stuff. You'll just get ours when you buy our equipment. So it's really, and I'm kind of trying to get back to your question about how do you keep ahead of the game? Well, I think with just those 2 things that we've invented, that we're coming up with, we are way ahead of the game. And in terms of the value that's going to bring to our company, we're talking with various groups right now, and I don't think I've signed NDAs. No, I haven't. So we're talking with 2 major Korean manufacturers. You can probably, I'm not going to name them, but you'll guess who they are, who want to do the mass manufacturing for us, for the portable stove and for the domestic units. And the criticism is going to be, you're trying to, to beat natural gas or LPG. Well, that's not the case. What we're trying to do is actually bring clean, CO2-free energy to the world, and we'll do that. We'll do it next year. In fact, we're already doing it in terms of testing, but yeah, I think I've answered the question.
Sure. So I think when your product be in the market, the day that it will be, I will follow the stocks, future stocks for oil and gas in the market, because it will make a drop in the market. I think so, right?
Oh, I think the term disruptive technology is one that's been well used, and I guess you could classify what we're doing as disruptive because it no longer, you can cook and heat without any other form of combustible material. So you don't need LPG gas, you don't need natural gas, you don't need diesel or some sort of liquid or heating oil, you need water.
And the technology will not stop here. Also, there is development, so maybe it will be fuel one day or something.
Yeah, we have a lot of plans. It's and even with our water product, I mentioned earlier about restructuring the water and changing the pH, the alkaline level in the water, and this is pure alkaline water. You cannot get better alkaline water than ours because it's completely 100% natural. There's no additives, there's no process that involves chemicals or anything. It's 100% natural, it's unique, and we'll launch that in the first quarter of next year.
When we talk about the technology that you reach for it, that you go deeply for the water, for example, electron and proton, and to find solution, and you find it. How you can manage your life as a personal life between a business, between personal, between family, between kids, between even employees? How?
Yeah, that's another good question. And probably for me, that's the hardest one to solve, particularly the whole life-work balance thing that you talked about. As I mentioned, one of the reasons that we relocated here was so that I wouldn't spend as much time as I have been just travelling, just getting to places where we do business. And one of the things that I also learnt from COVID, I think a lot of businesses failed. A lot of businesses were affected badly by COVID. We had our 2 best years ever during COVID because we adapted to the scenario. And our ability to look at challenges and then find solutions and opportunities, we went from possibly having no business for 2 years to doing over $100 million in sales because we help governments. We provided a healthcare system. We have a healthcare company, a small one, a startup. But that small healthcare company secured distribution rights for different products under the whole personal protective equipment sort of space. We help companies source vaccines. In fact, I think one of the things I described us as during COVID was like we were the Amazon of the vaccine world. We didn't manufacture anything. But I did deals with distribution centres, with logistics companies, with airlines, with vaccine manufacturers, and I stitched it all together like Amazon. And people would just say, we need 1 million doses of this, and so we'd make it all happen. And being based here, one of the biggest vaccine distribution centres in the world, servicing over 1.4 billion people, is here in Abu Dhabi, at Kizad. So, as an initiative from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. So, the fact that we can help governments, help people, and one of the key parts of our business is dealing with crises, particularly given our background and where we've come from. The ability to look at a crisis and then find opportunities to A, help people, and B, make money out of it. Because if you're helping people, and you can make money, that's great business. So that's kind of, our fundamental premise for everything that we're doing.
The future and the company that you started and the technology, it's talking about intelligent and the creativity. So we're talking about around 100 intelligent employees working with you. How did you choose these people?
That's another good question. It's funny because a lot of people just tend to find me. I don't think I've ever placed an ad for anybody. Maybe for an accountant from time to time, but the key people in our business tend to find me, or they've heard about what we're doing, and they approach us and go, "Hey, I've got this idea for you." And the first thing I do is say, "Great, write me a proposal," because I'm not going to interview anybody until they write a proposal on why I should employ them. And probably greater than 95% of the time, I hire them from that proposal because it demonstrates to me how they think, what they think they can do for our business as being part of our team. And I also don't hire anybody that doesn't believe that they're a salesperson, because it doesn't matter whether you drive a truck, you sit behind a desk, you fly an aeroplane, if you've got a badge on your uniform, if you work for a company, you're part of the team. And everybody in the team must be able to sell. That's my philosophy on everything in business, is that everybody in the company is a representative of the company, it's a representative of the brand, and you should be able to promote what the business does. And again, that's that's been part of our success. I think is that just the way people think, and if they don't think it, then they don't work here.
After 6 years, we choose Aquarius to be one of our guests. So it means that you are one of the best. After 6 years from now, where you will find your company?
Yes. So the way that and again, I'm unashamedly in business, I'm all about creating shareholder value. I own the majority of the companies anyway, but it's all about making money for people and rewarding them for supporting me and our mission. So I think either it'll be a sale, I'll sell the company. I've done 3 of those. I've built up 3 businesses and sold them to bigger players, bigger companies, public companies in the UK generally, or an IPO here in the UAE. So IPOs here are like a dime a dozen at the moment. I think they're happening every day of the week, which is great. So I think it'll be an IPO. My plan is to be at least a $3 billion company within the next 2 years. I know we'll achieve half of that. I know that we've got contracts coming up, things that are happening that will see us turning over 1.5, 1.6 billion US in the next 18 months, 2 years. So I think my personal goal is to double that. So we'll do that through organic growth, with our clients and our contracts. We've got 2 very large projects coming up in the region. One of them's $900 million. So yeah.
Next GITEX, you will be there?
Yeah, probably. I think so. Yeah, we've actually never exhibited since we've been here. We've been so busy with developing the business. That's probably contradictory, I know, but yeah, I think next GITEX will definitely, and probably IDEX as well with our military defence training capability. And remember that the water-based product, we have one that we're developing called Storm Cloud, which hydrates the human body 6 times more than drinking water. So you think about the military, you won't need to consume as much water. You can drink less and be more hydrated. I played tennis this morning. Normally when I played tennis for an hour in this humidity, I would probably go through 2 or 3 of these of normal water. I don't even get through 1.
Take 9 months for you?
Well, that's been it's taken 18 months to actually develop it, to get it right. It took 9 months to get the trademarks registered, which has now happened. And we've got 1 more approval to go shortly, and then we're launching it. So we'll launch it in the new year, I think. But people have been drinking it and using it. And in fact, if we change the formula slightly on this water and spray it on your skin, these little brown marks you get, and if you get acne or skin problems, gone within a week, generally a week to 2 weeks. So it's, we've got a whole cosmetic range we can do just using our water, and that's one of the things that our CEO Sonny is working on, is looking at the cosmetic range with the water.
When we talk about UAE, we're talking about the hub for the world. UAE target for many people over the world coming here as an investor or even employee looking for a job. What's your advice for every newcomer coming to this country before he comes?
Well, if you're in business, you definitely have to be set up a company in Dubai or in the UAE. I always talk about Abu Dhabi because I live here and this is where we're based. But as I said, we have a company in Dubai South. So yeah, I think it's advisable, if you're going to have a local partner, make sure you get the right local partner. And there are advisories that help with that. ADGM here, where we're based, Abu Dhabi Global Market, I think has been fantastic. There are lots of services, lots of help, and they pretty much have categories for everything that we need in terms of the approvals. I think get an understanding of the culture. That's where most people come unstuck, is that they think that living and doing business here is like doing business everywhere else in the world, in the kind of Western world, if you will. It is different. I think it's fantastic, and to understand that. But as an Australian living here with my family, I couldn't think of a better place to be, particularly in times of crises. And I think Abu Dhabi, particularly, and Dubai to a certain degree, managed the COVID situation, the pandemic, just an amazing. It was actually amazing to see the way it all happened so quickly to manage the outbreak and then all the treatments and get people vaccinated and everything else. So I don't think there's a better place to live actually than here in the UAE. I think it's fantastic.
In your history, who's the person give you advice until now you work on it, or give you some hints that you are believing it until now?
In history, well, historically, my grandfather.
What is it?
He was a very successful farmer in South Australia, and he was a hard worker, but he was also very, very smart, and he had some solid beliefs about things and about the way things should be. The thing he always told me was, make sure if you say you're going to do something, make sure you do it, and that's where I got it from. And I think my granddad, his name was Edward. He was the guy that in my life was sort of helping me and driving me to be successful.
Finally, this country, which you choose to be here because it's peace and safe country. Let's talk about this point, important for the money, because money always looking for peace and safe. And to invest here, it's a good choice. So it's coming from His Highness Sheikh Zayed, the one who started UAE, and the son of Zayed make UAE number one in the world. So what you say for UAE leaders and government for this opportunity we have?
Yeah, I think we have a lot to be thankful for in the United Arab Emirates, particularly given the leadership and vision of Sheikh Zayed and his son, obviously Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, and then looking to Dubai with Mohammed bin Rashid. It's just incredible that, particularly when you think about Sheikh Zayed's vision for the future and his values in terms of honesty, integrity, hard work, leadership, and seeing a vision for the future. And when you look at what's been achieved over the last 50 years, it's just incredible. And as an expat living here, to be part of that and to see the vision unfold is incredible. And I'm proud to be here, to be contributing to the community and helping to promote Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates, obviously, with our new technologies and everything we do as a company. So it's fantastic. I love it. And we look forward to working with everybody as we do in the country and elsewhere, and being very successful.
الأمان عاش